Greetings, fellow planeswalkers of all ages. Welcome to Fatal Draw MTG. Today is going to be very exciting. I feel a lot better. Uh, Getting through the seizure process is all y'all that has been wishing me well. It's helped out a lot, so thank y'all. But today, I'm gonna be doing a deck tech that on my last video I asked everybody what deck they'd like to see. I gave them a choice, and Rakdos Knights was the choice. So that's what I'm going to be doing a deck tech on. But before we get started, I'm also going to be doing a giveaway at the end of this video. So make sure you stick around. And all you got to do to qualify is be a subscriber, or go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, like the video, and drop a comment. And you will be eligible to win the cards I'll be giving away. And yet again, I'll show it at the end of the video. But we're going to jump straight into this deck tech. I call this deck Lucky Clover Knights. It's a lot different build than what you see running on MTG Arena and everything like that. So we'll get into it. And it's based around this card right here. Lucky Clover. Now, Lucky Clover is an artifact. Whenever you cast an adventure, instant, or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for that copy. Okay, so we're running a lot of adventure cards in this deck, and we're running 4 Lucky Clovers. Okay, so our adventure guys that we cast are going to snap off. We got this. They're going to copy and be able to duplicate. So we're running 4 of those. Now we're going to move straight to the creatures. For the 1-drop slots, running 4 Fervent Champions. Yes, this is in about every Rakdos Knight build, and is the premier 1-drop for Mono Red and Rakdos Knights. It is a first strike, haste, human knight, and when he attacks, another target knight you control gets +1/+0 until the end of turn. Also, equipped abilities you activate, the target Fervent Champion costs 3 less to cast. Now, Fervent Champion, you can drop 2 of them, 3 of them, and they're pumping all each other. So you got 3 Fervent Champions on the field. You got 3/3/3s with first strike and haste. And yeah, that's a premier 1-drop. So we're running the 4 copies of him. Next 1-drop, we have our Foulmere Knight. Now, some decks run this, some decks don't. I personally chose this. I like it. It's got the instant adventure ability. Profane Sight for 3. You draw a card and you lose 1 life. This is for our generating our card draw. And Lucky Clover is out on the field. We get to duplicate that. So that ain't too bad at all. But it's a 1/1 with Death Touch, and that's going to keep them the more aggro style decks, such as red green, mono green, any of those. It's gonna be able to stall out them where they're not going to be wanting to swing in. So they're going to have to either clear the board and find somebody to get rid of this. So we're running 4 copies of Foulmere Knight. Set that off the side. Next 1-drop. Only running 2 copies of Knight of Ebon Legion. I know I should be running 4, but I did not have room into this deck, so it's just another 1-drop knight to get triggers off of another creature, Smitten Swordmaster. I'll show you here in a second. But for a 1-drop, this is rather well. I mean, it's a 1/2, tap 3. Now that Ebon Legion gets +3/+3 and gains Death Touch until the end of turn. And you can trigger this on your opponent's turn. So yet again, swinging in. They swing into you. Boom, it gets Death Touch. It takes out a bigger guy. So at the beginning of your end step, if a player lost 4 or more life this turn, you get put a +1 counter on Knight of the Ebon Legion. So he grows bigger throughout the process. And so we're only running 2 copies of that. Set that off to the side as well. Next up, we're moving to the 2-drops. And we are going to be running 4 copies of Mr. Smitten Swordmaster. Now, we want to fill the board with as many knights as possible, have our Lucky Clovers out, and activate its Curry Favor ability. Its Curry Favor ability is you gain X life and each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of knots you control. So let's say you got 2 lucky clovers out and you got 4 knots on the board. Okay? You cast Curry Favor for 1 mana and Lucky Clover copies it twice. So you get 3 triggers off of that. So you got 4 knots out. You just dealt 12 damage to them and you gain 12 life. That's stout. That is stout. And it's also a 2-1 life linker. So, I mean, yeah. Why not run 4 of them? So, we got 4 of them in the deck. Next up, for our 2-drop slot, is going to be Rimrock Knight. Now, we're only running 3 copies of this. Yet again, I did not want 4 copies of it due to the fact that it cannot block. But it's in here for its instant adventure ability, and that is Boulder Rush. Boulder Rush is target creature gets +2/+0 until the end of the turn. Yet again, it's a combat trick you can use if you got Lucky Clover out. You get to copy it. So we swing in with Fervent Champion. Somebody don't block it, or even Knight of the Ebon Legion. They don't block it. We have a Lucky Clover out. We cast Boulder Rush. They get +4 until the end, or +4/+0 until the end of the turn. So combat trick you can get damage through, and it triggers off Knight of the Ebon Legion. So we're running 3 copies of the Rim Rocker. Next up, we're only running 2 copies of this as well, and that is Black Lance Paragon. Now, Black Lance Paragon is just another combat trick that you can use. It has flash. It's a 2-drop, 3/1. When Black Lance Paragon enters the battlefield, target Knight gains Death Touch and Lifelink until the end of turn. So, yet again, bigger creatures swinging in. You block with one of your Knights. Bam, slap this guy on the field. It gets Death Touch and Lifelink until the end of turn. And if you can combo this with Boulder Rush's ability with a Lucky Clover out, massive damage is getting through and you're gaining a bunch of life off of it. So, and he's a 3/1 guy for 2, so I mean, it's not terrible. And so we're going to be running 2 of them. Next up is Order of Midnight for the 2-drop slot. We're running 3 copies of this. Now, it's in here yet again for its adventure ability, and it's a flyer. But he's a 2/2 flyer. It can't block, of course, but the Alter Fate ability on the adventure is return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. So our Smitten Swordmaster gets killed off. We got Lucky Clover out. So we got 2 of them, or 3 of them in our graveyard, even Fervent Champion. We got Lucky Clover out. We cast the Alter Fate ability off of Order of Midnight. We get to return 2 creatures to our hand. I mean, come on. Can't get much better than that. And then also, it's a flyer, so you get to swing over the top against these low to the ground aggro decks. So we're running 3 copies of that bad boy right there. Now moving on to our next one. Only running 2 copies of this. Yes, you should see about 4 in the other builds, but I'm running 2. And Stormfist Crusader is another way for us to get card draw. It also has Menace. It is a black and a red human knight, 2/2 with Menace, and at the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card and loses 1 life. Now that helps out our opponent a little bit too, but the payoff of it is we're drawing our cards as well to dig for our Lucky Clovers or Knights that we can trigger off of their adventure abilities and stuff like that. So, and then you can swing in with them as well. He's a 2/2 with Menace, so they're going to have to double block. So we're running 2 copies of that bad boy right there. Next up, in the 3-drop slot. Yes, sir. One of my favorite cards, Murderous Rider. Murderous Rider is amazing, amazing, amazing. I cannot express how amazing this card is. It's a adventure ability. It costs 3, 1 colorless, 2 black, and Its swift in ability is the same. And the adventure ability is destroy target creature or planeswalker, you lose 2 life. Okay, yeah, we take a hit for 2 life, but we got lifelink in our deck, so that's perfectly fine. We get to take out their creatures or their planeswalkers, and we got Lucky Clover out on the field. We can take out 2 Lucky Clovers. We can take up to 4 guys out with that swift in ability. And of course, you can also hard cast it, and it's a 2/3 with lifelink. And then when it dies, you put it at the bottom of your library, so you never really lose it. And yeah, so we're running 3 copies of Murderous Rider. I was going to bump it up to 4, and I may do that, but for right now, we're running 3 copies of it. Next up, in the 3-drop slot, running 2 Bone Crusher Giant. Yet again, this is for the adventure ability, and plus it's attached to a 4/3 body. Its adventure ability costs 2. Damage can't be prevented this turn. So that's a bonus right there. But also it deals 2 damage to any target. So you got 3 Lucky Clovers out on the field. Cast this. It deals 6 damage. You can go straight to the face. You could take out a big creature, and that's amazing on its own. But you can also hard cast it or bring it back from its adventure. And when it becomes the target of a spell, Bone Crusher deals 2 damage to that spell's controller. So if it wants to get rid of this guy with a kill spell, like Epic Downfall, there's going to be a payoff for us because they're taken to the face. So, and it's attached to a 4/3 body. So swinging in with the guy, we're perfectly okay with that. And we're running 2 of those. Now we're moving on to the 4-drop slot. Spawn of Mayhem, running 2 of these guys. Yet again, this is a way for us to get over and hit our opponent in the air. It's a 4-drop, 2 colors, 2 black, but it's also got a spectacle cost. As long as you dealt damage to this turn, you could pay 3 and cast it for a spectacle cost. And it's a 4/4 with flying and trample. And at the beginning of your upkeep, Spawn of Mayhem deals 1 damage to each player. And then if you have 10 or less life, you get to put a +1 counter on Spawn of Mayhem. So even if we get our life total down, we got this guy out. We can keep dropping counters on them, and we're swinging 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the air. So we're running 2 of those guys, and it also pecks our opponent, and it works fairly well with the deck, I think, because we got life linkers and everything else. So that's perfectly fine. We're good with that. Now, unfortunately, I'm only running 1 Embercleave. We're moving to the sorceries and instances and all that good stuff. Running 1 Embercleave. Yes, you should be running 3 to 4, but I only own 1. So yeah, we're only running 1 copy of that. But Embercleave is a flash legendary enchantment. The spell costs 1 last to cast for each creature you control. So we have 4 creatures out. Well, all we gotta do is pay 2 red sources, and we get to cast it. And when it enters the battlefield, attached to the creature you control, the equipped creature gets +1/+1, and it has double strike and trample. This is a good way, a combat trick to, since it's flash, you can get in and smoke somebody for a bunch of damage. And we're only running 1 copy of Embercleave, unfortunately. And we're only running 1 of these as well. Icona Ancestry. I think this is an underrated card for this deck. I don't understand why people aren't running this more. And Icona Ancestry is the 3-drop, all colors. And when he enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. We're going to be choosing knights, of course. So creatures of that type gets +1/+1. But it also has a payoff where we can pay 3, tap it, look at the top 3 cards of your library, reveal a creature of the chosen type from them, and put it in your hand. Put the rest at the bottom of your library in a random order. So this is another way for us to dig for our finishing blows and get card draw, and still have that +1/+1 for all of our creatures out on the field. So we're running 1 copy of Icon Ancestry. Next up, for our last bit of sorceries and instants, or whatever you want to call them, we're not running very many. This is a very heavy creature deck, but we're running 2 Light Up the Stages. I mean, you got to. This works off of Stormfist Crusader. It works off of Spawn of Mayhem. Works off pretty much, as long as you're dealing damage, you get to pay 1, and you get to exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of turn, and you may play those cards. So, that's a good way for us to dig as well. And for 1 mana, to look at the top 2 of your library, to find that extra, like, say, find your Embercleave, or anything like that. I have to run 2 of these in the deck just for that generating card draw. Okay, so that is the last bit of our non-lands. Okay, so for our land base, we're running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 mountains. We're running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 swamps. And then we're running 1 Fabled Passage, just because if we're missing, either we run into where we're just drawing a bunch of one of either mountains or swamps. Fabled Passage, all you gotta do is tap it. As long as we have 4 more lands, we can search our library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. Then, if you control 4 or more lands, untap that land. So we're running 1 of the Fabled Passage. We're also running 1 Castle of Embrith. Now, Castle of Embrith is in here. When it enters the battlefield, tapped unless you control a mountain. And you can tap it to add a mountain. And then you can tap 3, 1 colorless and 2 mountains, and creatures you control get +1/+0 until the end of turn. So yet again, this triggers all of our creatures, get the extra damage in the air or anything else, buff up our guys. So yeah, we're running 1 of those in the deck as well. And then also 1 copy of Temple of Malice. No shocklands in this deck. Temple of Malice allows us to scry, and it provides us with a mana base for our swamps and our mountains. So we're only running 1 copy of it, though, because we do not want stuff coming in tapped, and scry lands are not the best, but it's a good way for us to search out and continue looking through our deck to find the finishing blows. Now we're running 3 Tourney Grounds for the last bit of lands. And Tourney Grounds is, you can tap it for a colorless, or you can tap it for a black, white, or a mountain. To spend this mana, you can spend this mana only to cast a knight or equipment spell. So, I mean, it works with our deck because only, 2 creatures in our deck are non-knights. So, yeah, you're running 3 Tourney Grounds in that. So, it's a total of 21 lands in this deck. Okay. Now, running through the sideboard real quick. I'm trying to speed this up for y'all. We're running 4 full copies of Rotting Regisaur. Now, it's a 7/6. This is a big body. And we run into a deck that we want to deal as much damage as possible. And for a 3-drop 7/6, the only drawback is at the beginning of your upkeep, discard a card. That's okay. We can deal with that. For a 7/6 body, drop Embercleave on it, boom. I mean, that's a ton of damage coming at somebody's face right there. So, running 4 copies of Rotten Regisaur in our sideboard. We're also running 1 copy of Rimlock Knight in our sideboard, just in case we want to, drop it in there to finish out our full playset of Rimrock Knights for the luck clover effects on it. I dropped it to 3 in the main deck just because it can't block, and the space for it did not go on curve. So running 1 copy of that. running one copy of Forever Young. It is a 2-drop. Sorcery. Put any number of target creature cards from your library on top of your, or from your graveyard on top of your library, and then draw a card. So we search out our Smith and Swordmaster. Bam! Get it back, draw the card, play the card. Curry favor with Lucky Clover. Bust up some people with our knights on the board. So unless they got board wipes, they are going to be in trouble. Now for the low to the ground decks, mono white, mono red, and stuff like that, we're running one copy of Witch's Vengeance in our sideboard. Creatures of, it's, oh, by the way, it's a 3-drop. One color is 2 black. Creatures of the creature type of your choice get -3 until the end of turn. So somebody's running, say, a knight build of their own, or any kind of flavor text that they want to put into that, where they're running all humans or something like that. This takes out, it's a board wipe for ourselves if we need it. So it's in our sideboard. And then we're running 3 copies of Steel-Clawed Lance. This is to make our deck even more aggro if we need to be. We need to get as much damage in as possible. It is a 2-drop. 1 black and 1 red. Equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2. And equip it to a knight, it only costs 1. Equip it to anything other than a knight, it costs 3. Now, this pairs well with our favorite champion. I mean, you can't go wrong there, so we're running 3 of those. Then we're running a full playset of Angrass Rampage. So we want to get rid of, enchantments or artifacts are a thing right now. So you can choose one. It's black and red. Target player sacrifices an artifact, target player sacrifices a creature, or target player sacrifices a planeswalker. So we run into a planeswalker deck. We can sideboard in Angrass Rampage, get rid of them. Creature heavy deck, same thing. So we're running the full playset there. And our last one is another copy of Icon of Ancestry, just to smooth out the board if we are trying to go mid game and try to cover our butts, so to speak, against mid-range style decks. We're running one more copy of Icon of Ancestry in our sideboard, and that actually completes our sideboard. That completes the deck itself. I hope y'all enjoyed this version of my Rakdos Knights build. If y'all have any suggestions that y'all would do differently, feel free to drop it into the comments. But now, here's the moment y'all been waiting for. The giveaway. We hit 25 or 26 subs now, but we hit our mark. Now, when we get to 50, I'm going to be doing another giveaway. So share this video any way you can. Share it to Instagram, Facebook, anything to get it out there and get me to 50 subs. And we'll be doing another big giveaway. And the giveaways will get bigger as we get the ball rolling. I want to hit 100 subs before the end of the month. Now, here are the cards that y'all will be getting for the giveaway. And yet again, to qualify, all you gotta do is be a subscriber, or if you're not a subscriber yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe, like the video, and drop any comment you want at the bottom. And these are the cards you'll be getting. First one is Kalia, Zenith Seeker. That's the first one that you'll be getting. Second one, I hope I can pronounce this right, Omanos, Locust of the Royal, is the second one you'll be getting. And then for the next 2, you'll be getting a Gilded Goose regular and a Gilded Goose foil. How about that? And I'll also have a special card that I'll put in there as well for our 5th card. And I'm not going to tell y'all what it is, but that is what the giveaway will be. So, y'all know the rules to it. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it. And, yeah, share this video any way you can. let's get to 50 subs at least by the end of the month, possibly 100. Anything. Just share it as much as you can. Shout outs to a lot of people. Pause, Clever Matt, Trevor. Go check out their channels. All my subscribers, thank y'all very much for supporting me through the health issue that I had. I had a seizure, so I'm feeling a lot better now. My speech, as you can tell, has gotten a lot better. I'm not stuttering as much, so I'm feeling better. And yeah, until then, guys, Fatal Draw is out. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Hope y'all enjoy.